Hello, my name is Michael McCoy and I'm with HITECH Compliance Associates. We're here today as a part of our continuing risk and compliance series, and today's topic is you need a compliance partner. Why? Well, there's more to HIPAA compliance than you might think. So first of all, your foundational step is to have a yearly risk assessment. That's actually two components, a risk analysis and a risk management plan, basically your to-do list. You also have to make sure your office is up to date and has the forms for the latest OCR patient access guidance. This is the biggest way to get a HIPAA fine, and your patients can turn you in because you didn't give them their records on time, overcharge them, or would not deliver them as this HIPAA access guidance requires. Your business associate agreements are one of the easiest ways to reduce your practice's risk. Not having an agreement in place leaves you at significant risk of breach expenses and reputational damage. You also need to have a fully updated set of policies and procedures. This year alone, there's been over 1,500 pages of new documents put out, or rules put out by the Office for Civil Rights. And your office, good chance you're evaluating artificial intelligence. You want to have policies and procedures surrounding that. You need to know what questions to ask. So that's where, again, a compliance partner can come in. There are new and significant rules for reproductive health and substance abuse disorder in the way that you have to deliver and document the delivery of those records. And again, you need the forms and the policies and procedures surrounding them. That goes into the forms and documentation requirements, of which this year you must update your notice of privacy practices. A lot more information needs to be packed in, and you need to know how to properly display and give this information to your patients. Cybersecurity, biggest threat out there for your practice is that you do not have reasonable and appropriate security. They now call it the cybersecurity performance goals, and we want to make sure that you're meeting those. Support. At times, you are going to need a HIPAA expert. When you have a breach, whether it's one patient record or 1,000 patient records, you need to have somebody to reach out to. And there's always general questions. We did this, or is this allowable? You want somebody on your team that can help you answer those questions. So again, we don't get into a situation where a patient is making and filing a HIPAA complaint on us. Audits and investigations, you definitely need a HIPAA consultant at your side. Usually not just an attorney, but somebody who's gone through the experience before. We have numerous times, and you want to have somebody that can help you through that process. Information blocking, new rules and regulations. The enforcement rule just went into effect. So if you do not have separate rules and regulations for information blocking, again, watch this video, give us a call. Telehealth, changes after the COVID updates, and then there's also not HIPAA, but Section 1557 and Section 504, OCR enforced rules that have been updated for your practice. Now, as we were saying, there's a lot going on with HIPAA. And one of the biggest rules is the HIPAA privacy rule to support reproductive health care privacy. The final rule was published. Never before have we seen the OCR put out 4 press releases on one rule in this manner. To announce it, to state that the effective date went into place, and then another one to say that even though you do have till the end of the year to comply, we highly recommend that you start compliance today. So your office needs to be aware of these new rules and changes to keep you out of trouble. When it comes to your HIPAA, you cannot be compliant without an insight risk analysis. We go over and document the cybersecurity performance goals so that your practice is applying reasonable and appropriate standards. Now, a risk analysis is not a IT function. In fact, you want a third party reviewing what your IT is doing for you. That's just a good check and balance. And you want to make sure that you've got somebody who can help you do this in a timely fashion that's got experience. The biggest thing is if you are not properly protecting records and you have a breach, you lose that patient trust. We've seen way too many practices go out of business or have to sell to the hospitals because they could not afford the cost associated. So a simple checklist, something that your IT company runs a vulnerability scan, that is not a risk analysis. That's not going to get you out of trouble when the worst happens. Now, another big part of your HIPAA is training. And so you need to make sure that your staff is trained on this new access guidance, the new reproductive health and SUD regulations, along with the other rules that are ongoing with HIPAA to make sure that we, again, do not violate a patient's privacy and, again, are applying the appropriate security. Cyber training for your staff is critical. We offer all different types of training, live online, portal training, MP4 files that you can play from your computers, interactive PDFs, our new innovative training that practices are really liking because it's fast and it's very effective. We also have posters and other ongoing training, and ongoing is that keyword because that's what the Office for Civil Rights is looking for, not just yearly training anymore, but that you're continuously training. Now, cybercrime is rampant and training is the best way to reduce your risk. Again, also information blocking. Now the enforcement rule is in place. You could suffer financial fines or what they call disincentives. If you're not up to date, you need to have the form so that if you do not share records, even for a legitimate purpose, you've got to document why you've not done that. So information blocking, its own separate kit that we have included. So our HIPAA compliance kit is really where you start, whether you're a single doctor practice or have 200 doctors on staff. It doesn't matter. This is the beginning of where we want to start. This goes over all of the steps and documentation required to make sure that you are in a compliant status. Everything from your risk analysis, again, to contingency planning, breach planning, training, updated policies and procedures, and system activity review. Don't forget that one. That's where we are doing monitoring. We are being proactive, looking at our system, looking for unusual or suspicious activity. A key component in your HIPAA plans and a big problem if you haven't been doing them and a breach occurs. Again, the information blocking kit is another component. These kits are both digital and paper, however you prefer, or both. And again, if you do not share records, you need to have a form that gives the information needed by the information blocking rule on why you denied access. Again, we expect to see a lot more as the enforcement rule has just been published and is going into effect now. Every practice needs to show their patients that they are a HIPAA compliant entity. Now, this isn't just a certificate that we print out and give out, because this has legal repercussions for our company. The FTC says that if you are giving out these certificates, you better be able to back up that the practice is meeting these standards. That's where our insight risk analysis comes in. We have the documentation before we give you this certificate to show that your practice is always working on HIPAA compliance. You are never compliant or non-compliant. You're always in a status of being compliant, and that's where our consulting work helps come in to make sure that you do that. If you're not aware of the recognized security practices, another great way to reduce your risk. With this in place, you can, with recognized security practices by federal law, they have to reduce any fines that they would give you and also reduce the investigation time. We've seen practices just recently get a $950,000 fine because they got ransomware on their computers. Why? Because they hadn't performed a security risk analysis and they did not have reasonable and appropriate security in place. If we can show this through recognized security practices, we found that none of our clients have ever been fined or had to enter a corrective action plan because we were able to show they were doing their best to comply. So we have multiple different programs, all the way again from starting with the HIPAA compliance kit. Even if you're a single doctor, it's a very affordable and cost-effective method to get HIPAA compliant, to even larger organizations, even organizations that have their own compliance professional. I would bet that going through this review that we've done here, that your compliance professional is not up to date with all of these. They have other compliance issues other than just HIPAA. So we come in and can help them. So whether you go with our Compliance as a Service program, the Insight program, where we help you somewhat, or go into the full security officer program, where we basically become your HIPAA security officer. These are great programs, much less cost than hiring an outside professional. And because HIPAA is what we do, we stay up on it and we keep all your documentation requirements up to date. And we are very, very good with support right there when you need us to make sure that you are doing things right in your office. I want to thank you for attending today. This is, again, HITECH Compliance Associates. My name is Michael McCoy, and here's my contact information. Also, I want to remind you that we do have a free 30-minute consultation. Whether you want to call us and just go over your security, you just have some general HIPAA questions, no cost, no obligation, please contact us. We'd love to talk to you. Thank you.
With HITECH Associates, a real person works with your practice to complete your HIPAA documentation. We are not selling a software program. We are your compliance partner. If you are interested in making sure your organization is protected before it is too late, please go to HIPAAComplianceKit.com, linked below, to learn more about our services. We offer a free, no obligation, 30-minute consultation with your practice, and we'll send you a compliance report card based on that call. Thank you for watching. If you learned something, please like the video and share this video with your colleagues. Subscribe today to stay up to date on all things HIPAA.